Do I need to go in order? We'll go in order. It's number 2 first, I think. Okay. Number 2 is first.
Yes, that one too.
Okay. Okay. All of it. You want me to explain all of it?
Well,
Yes.
okay,
Okay.
so okay, yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Y'all see the answer, so that might help you out already. But
I was gonna say
domain
the bottom part.
is the bottom part.
Okay, so I got all the bottom parts right. Like I know those answers and how to find those. My problem is domain and range. Like I don't know what it
Okay.
is, but certain graphs.
Okay. All right. So domain. Here's the trick. Domain, you're looking at the x-axis. Range, you're looking at the y-axis. So a lot of times y'all get that mixed up. All right. So domain. Domain means in general, it means the territory that this graph covers from left to right. So we start with the lowest number, the lowest x number. Notice this is the leftmost point right here. Now, what x value corresponds to that point? If you see my little arrow, it corresponds to -1, because that's -2 right here. So that must be -3, and that's -4. So this is -1. That must be 0 right there, because that's the origin. So this is -1. So it starts the leftmost point, or the leftmost x value, is -1. It bubbled in, so you know it's included. That's why you're going to have a bracket for -1. It's going all the way to the right, all the way. Notice that it's inching to the right just a little bit. Now it's slowly inching itself to the right, but it's going to the right. It's going to eventually continue on in this direction to positive infinity. All right. So ask your question. Do you get that?
I was kind of confused on
Yeah,
how it
looking
was
at the
positive infinity for that one
yeah,
if it's going down.
yeah,
We're not looking at the y. See, that's what y'all doing. Y'all looking at the y-axis. What is domain covering? Which axis?
the X.
The x-axis. So if you're going to the right on the x-axis, where are you going to the right? You're going into positive infinity.
Mm.
Don't look at the y-axis for domain. Look at the x-axis. All right, because if we
Should
were
we
looking at
always
the,
start?
I always say it again.
Should we always start from left to right?
Yes, you always start from the lowest number to the highest number. Always least to greatest, no matter what. Always start with your lowest number to your highest number. That's what an interval normally is, from the lowest value to your highest value. That's you always want to put it in order, in numerical order, right? So yes, all right. Continue to ask, and you still don't get why it's -1 to infinity.
Okay, me. Okay, the
Okay.
infinity part. I see someone looking at the X, but like I said, it's going down. So
It's going to the right. We're looking if it's going,
okay,
where is it going on the left and the right? We're not looking at down, because down is y-axis, right? We're
mm,
looking, where is it continuously going to the right? It's going to eventually, it's going slowly, but it's eventually going to the right all the way to infinity. On the x-axis, not on the y. Got it? Again,
yes.
domain. All right. Very good. Kai, you still have a question about that one? Domain?
Um, no, no.
Okay. Now range. Let's look at y-axis. Again, if I'm looking at the lowest y value, I'm going to start at the top or at the bottom first.
The
At the
bottom.
bottom.
The bottom, the bottom. I'm gonna start at the bottom. And now if you look on the y-axis, this is going, see y'all getting it confused. This is going down. Yeah, it is going down to what? Negative infinity. You would have been right for the range. Negative infinity is the lowest number is going to. Whenever it's going off the the grid like that, that means it's continuously going on and on forever. They don't put arrows on their graphs. That's why I like y'all to put arrows on your graph to indicate that it's going on forever. But whenever you see it going off the page of the graph, then you know that means it's continuously going in that direction. All right. Now the topmost point. The topmost point is here. Would you agree that's the topmost point right here? But what's the y? What does this correspond to on the y-axis? Not the x-axis, the y. If you go right across, it corresponds to 7 on the y-axis. Do we get that? Negative infinity would be the lowest y value all the way to the topmost y value, which is 7. Put a 1 in the chat if you understand it. All right. Put a 2 in the chat if you still don't understand. I might have to explain. All right. Okay, good. All right. So I'm going to move on to number 3. If that's okay with y'all. Okay, hold on. Let me find it. All right. Use the graph of the function to find the domain and range. Okay. I think this was Merrick's question. Merrick, you just want to understand the range, right?
Yes, ma'am, the range.
All right. The bottommost point on the y-axis. Uh-oh. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Isn't that this is the bottommost point right here, Mary? Right here.
Yes, ma'am.
It corresponds to what number on the y-axis?
-4.
-4. But we don't include it because
It's not bubbled in.
it's not bubbled in. It's a hole right there. Or we will call it an open circle. Right? So that's the lowest y value, but it's not included. So we put a parenthesis there. And we go all the way to the top. Where's the top going? This one, both of them really, it doesn't matter which side we're going to. Look at how it's going off of the graph. See, this is the edge right here. It's going off the graph. So that tells me it's continuing going up and up and up to what on the y-axis? To positive infinity.
Now that I've seen it, it looks very simple.
I know.
Yes.
I know. I know. Christina, what's your question? Yes, ma'am.
On the domain, why isn't it a bracket since it's a closed-in circle?
Good question. All right. So again, domain is saying what territory does this graph covers? Does it cover everything in between negative infinity and positive infinity? Yes, because if I go from left to right, I'm going all the way down here. I'm tracing this. I'm covering everything in between negative infinity all the way here. Now, yeah, that is an open circle here, but isn't it closed here? So it does cover 1 because here 1 is already covered. So does it touch 1? Yes, because this side does touch 1. You see that? So because they're right under each other. This right here is bubbled in. So does it cover the area of x equals 1? Yes, because it's bubbled in right here. Does it cover the area of 1.1, 1.2, 1.3? Yeah, because look, we have a line that starts from 1.0001 all the way up to positive infinity on the x-axis. So it covers everything. Even though you see that hole right here, this line right here actually takes care of x equals 1 because it's bubbled in right there. You couldn't have both of them to be bubbled in because it would have violated the vertical line test. But this one is bubbled in, so it takes care of x equals 1. Did I answer your question? Okay. Who actually?
Kind of. Yeah, kind of. So it's bubbled in because it stops at the
Well,
1, and I'm still kind of.
all right, that one on the left, the line on the left goes all the way to 1. It's included, right? And then the other line to the right starts from that 1, like 1.0001, all the way to positive infinity. All right, so it covers everything. Even though you see this whole, you basically fill it in with the left, with the line on the left, because x equals 1 is included on that line on the left. So really, when you think about it, it covers everything from negative infinity to positive infinity on the x-axis. On the x-axis. So don't look at the y, on the x-axis. From left to right, it covers everything. That line is going across every number from left to right. All right, I'm going to move on to number 15 now. All right. All right, this one. Determine the open intervals on which the function is increasing, decreasing, or constant. So again, I still want y'all to start from left to right. So this is the leftmost right here. All right. So if I trace this blue line from left to right, am I going up or going down? If I trace, I'm going up. So that means it's increasing. All right. And let me just say this, for increasing, decreasing, or constant, you're always looking at the x-axis, and you're always putting parentheses no matter what. For increasing, decreasing, and constant intervals, let me repeat myself, you always put parentheses no matter what. And you always, again, you're going to write from least to greatest. All right. So if we start here, that's negative infinity. All right. Going all the way to here. It stops going up right here. What x value is this?
0.
0. So it is increasing from negative infinity, and then it stops increasing right here, because from here, if I trace this, it's doing what? It's going down, which means this is the decreasing interval right here. From 0 on the x-axis, again, we always looking at the x-axis for increasing, decreasing, and constant. 0 to right here. It stops decreasing right here. What is the x that corresponds to this point? They're even pointing out what the point is. All right. What's the x value that corresponds to this point?
6.
6. So it's decreasing from 0. Again, we're looking at the x-axis, not the y. 0 to 6 right here. So decreasing from 0 to 6. Notice it's not constant anywhere. Constant means it's just a horizontal line. It's not constant anywhere. But it picks up, increasing right here, and it's going off the grid, as y'all can see. And again, we're looking at the x-axis, not the y, but don't get them confused. It's going, inching its way to the right continuously forever. So it's going to positive infinity. So there are two intervals. There are two intervals where this is increasing. Here to here, and from 6 to infinity. Now, they wanted you all to write the intervals separated by commas. I don't know why they didn't tell you that, but that's what it, on my side, I can see you're just separating it by a comma. All right, number 19. I think somebody called out number 19. Am I right? Somebody call out number 19?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Find the average rate of change of the function from x of 1 to x of 2. So there's an average rate of change formula. Let me write down the problem first. Does anyone remember what the formula was?
Is it f(x of 2 minus f(x of 1 over x of 2 minus x of 1?
Yes, it is. All right. So the problem that I just showed you is the average rate of change. And again, you all may not have the same problems. They will be similar though. X squared minus 3x plus 6, and then x of 1 equals 1. So if you just follow this pattern, you'll be okay. So I think someone said f of x of 2 minus f of x of 1 over x of 2 minus x of 1. The reason why I could probably write it down so quickly is because it's the same formula as the wet formula. Someone tell me it's the same formula as the wet formula. What is it
Slope.
similar? Slope formula. Very good. It's the slope. It's basically the slope formula. All right. So in this case, what is our x of 2? What is our x of 2?
6.
6. So I'm going to go ahead and just put them there because that's what x of 2 is in the formula. All right. What about x of 1?
1.
1. All right. So I got to figure out what f of 6. What does that mean? F of 6. Okay. F of 6. How do I find f of 6?
You plug it in
Plug it in.
the formula.
Very nice. What? Not formula, but what? Not formula.
The equation, the function. The
The
function.
function. The function. All right. They gave you the function right here. So f of 6 equals 6 squared minus 3 times 6 plus 6. 36 minus 18 plus 6. What does that equal?
24.
24? Okay, thank you. So I know the first answer for f of 6, all we're doing is evaluating right now, evaluating functions. That's 24. How about f of 1? All right, y'all tell me what f of 1 is equal to. What is f of 1 equal to?
3.
Sure? 1
Yeah.
squared
I
minus
got 4.
3.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, 4. Yeah.
4. All right, 4. So that's going to be 4 here. We know 6 minus 1 is 5, right? So that's 5. 24 minus 4. 24
20.
minus 4. All
20.
right. All right. Thank you. 20 divided by 5 equals
4. 4.
4. 4. That's your average rate of change. All right. I hope I answered that. Number 25. Oh, no, I skipped number 10.
I'm sorry.
I skipped number 10, didn't
Yeah, I was finna say that too. My bad.
I? Number 10.
Dr.
Did
Thompson,
someone?
I'm sorry. I have one question.
Okay, what's your
Okay,
question?
where did we get the 5 from again? I'm sorry. Like, I was writing down and trying to listen at the same time. I'm sorry.
That's fine. All right, so the denominator is just simply x of 2 minus x of 1. So, let me see. All right. So down here, the formula just, it said, is in the denominator is just x of 2 minus x of 1. They gave me x of 2 is 6. They gave me x of 1 is 1, right? They give you that information in the problem. You see it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, I get it. Thank you, because I was like, what?
Is the
Okay.
formula f of x minus x squared minus 3x plus 6, or is it plus 8?
All problems are different. So yours might be 8 and mine might be 6. And
Oh, okay.
Raven might be 2 and Kenna's might be 3. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
They're gonna be similar, but they're not gonna be the same.
Cause I was like, I got different numbers. Okay.
Yep. So anytime y'all numbers are red, that means they are randomized. So if you look on website and you see red numbers, that means it's randomized. All right. So you may not have the same number as your classmates. Number 10, but I would just want y'all to follow this pattern. It's the same, it's similar, but you just got to follow the pattern. All right, let's see. What was number 10? Number 10. Okay. What I'm going to do is Kenna, was this yours? Number 10.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have the exact problem in front of you or no?
I do. I can give it to you.
All right. So f of x, number 10, y'all. F of x equals what?
4x cubed minus 24x squared minus x plus 6.
All right. And we are finding the zeros, or what did they ask you to do?
Let me make sure it's finding zero. Let me scroll up. Yes, ma'am. Find the zeros of the function algebraically.
All right. Find the zeros. Okay. So to find the zeros, what do we do first?
So you have to factor the GCF.
Well, tell me what to write first before we
Oh,
factor.
okay. So I'll put 4x cubed minus 24x squared minus x plus 6 equal to 0.
Yep. So you set this equal to 0. Whenever you all have, well, okay, of course we're factoring, but whenever you have 4 terms, how are we factoring? Normally, when you
By
have 4
grouping.
terms, by grouping. So we're gonna try to see if these two terms have something in common and if these two have something in common to see if we can group. So for the first group, this is the first group. Is anything in common with the first group that we can take out?
4x
Yes.
squared
Yes.
4x squared
Okay, 4x squared times what?
minus 6. X minus 6, my bad.
X minus 6. Okay. Now this is right here is what we want over here. We want x minus 6 again or it won't work. So how can we get x minus 6 if we take out what from the second group?
The
a
What
negative.
do we
A negative.
have? Negative 1. All
Mhm.
right, or negative. Yep. So I always write it when I have to take it out like that. I want y'all to see it. So I put it out there so you can see it that we're taking out a negative 1. So that way it will be x minus 6 because negative 1 times negative 6 is positive 6. So
Mhm.
what you wrote before has to be equivalent to what you just wrote. So it is equivalent. All right, so now the next step is to take what is, all right, if you compare this to this, what do they have in common?
The
X
X
minus
minus
6.
6.
X minus 6. So that's like your GCF. So you take the x minus 6 out, and if you completely took out x minus 6 from this row right here, what would be left over?
4x squared minus 1.
4x squared minus 1. This looks like a difference of squares. So I'm going to factor that one more time. All right. X minus 6 times something times something. I know it's a difference of squares because I have a minus. That's why they call it difference. And I have perfect squares. That's why they call it of squares. All right. So I know this is going to be 2x plus 1 and 2x minus 1. All right, so we have three different factors. X minus 6 equals 0. We're going to set them all to equal 0 and solve for x. So that's why you're going to get 6 as one solution, negative 1/2 for the other solution, and positive 1/2 for the last solution. Sounds good?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So when your degree, the degree of this function was what? What was the degree of this function?
3.
3.
3.
Q.
So most of the time, you're going to have the same number of solutions as the degree. Most of the time. It's not always guaranteed that. But most of the time, your degree should line up with how many solutions you have. You should have. All right. Number 25. You get to that one. Okay. Find the domain. Y'all see, again, we're only looking on the x-axis. Y'all see that this is the leftmost point right here. This is the leftmost point. On the x, what does it correspond to? What number does it correspond to on the x-axis?
-4.
Yep, it's bubbled in. Yes, it's bubbled in. So that means it's included or not included.
Included.
-4 is included. So do we write a bracket or a parenthesis for -4? Bracket. Then it goes, yep, so it's from -4 all the way to the right. What's the rightmost point? What x value? So if you drew a line, like a little line right here, a straight vertical line, what x value does it, I'm doing a little too much. What x value does it correspond to?
5.
5. However, what's the issue here?
It's not included.
5 is
It's not included.
open.
Therefore, I indicate that by what notation?
Parentheses.
Parentheses. So yep. So interval notation will be from -4 included all the way to 5 not included. So it will be bracket -4 all the way to 5 parentheses. Put a 1 in the chat if you get that. Put a 1 in the chat if you understand that. Okay. All right. Good. We're going to move on to range then. Range, again, we're not looking at the x anymore. We're looking at the y-axis. But we're going to start in which direction? We want to start at the lowest point because the numbers that are the least are at the bottom of the y-axis, not at the top. So we start at the bottom. Now, the bottommost point, would you agree, is this point right here? Isn't that the bottommost point? The lowest point of the graph? All right. This is the lowest point of the graph. Tell me what the point, just tell me what the point is first. Just tell me what the point is.
3, 0.
3, 0. Now, which one of those numbers is the y?
0.
0.
0, right? Yeah, yep. So 0, because it corresponds to the 0 on the y right here. If you drew like a little horizontal line to connect to the y-axis, it corresponds to 0. So from 0, now this is the highest point right here. And I say this is the highest point because really this point right here is not even included. So I'm gonna go over here, even though they're the same height. But since this is not included, I'm going to go over here. Just tell me what's the point first. What's the point? Tell me what the point is.
0, 9.
0.
Very good. But what is the y of that point? What is the y?
9.
9. Yep. So that's why the answer is from 0 to 9. Might have to let that sink in. But on the y, It starts from 0 and the highest is 9.
That's the
0
one I
to 9.
kept getting
So,
wrong.
So,
yeah.
Dr. Thomas, with this right
Mhm.
here, since it's over here to the right, that's how we know which point to use. What for us, like the parentheses and the bracket, because I was kind of getting confused with that.
If it's not an open circle, it's always a bracket, right? Is that what you're asking? If it's
No,
not
I was
open,
saying because you told us to go, start at the bottom, and I see it's
uh-huh.
on the right side, so I was just trying to make sure to determine which one you need to use. You just look at which side it is, or I don't
What do
know
you
if I'm
mean?
explaining it right. You see where the
Okay.
closed circle is and the open circle, and since it's on
Uh-huh.
the right, so that's how I determine which one to use for it's like the parentheses and brackets.
Well, this is the highest or the topmost point right here. This one not included, so I'm not gonna look at that one. See what I mean? This is the one that's included. So
Gonna be the
it's
zeros because both of them have
this
brackets, and I was putting
yeah,
parentheses.
this one covers this one. It's just like that question someone asked early because they had another open circle. Remember, it was a bubbled in one right above it. You remember that?
Hmm.
So if it's included, it's included. All right. The
Okay.
including dominates the not included.
Okay.
All right. So it's like filling the hole. It has a hole right here, but you kind of filled it in because you included 9 over here.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So does this graph cross 9? It does. Over here, I know it doesn't over here, but it does cross it here. And that's what we're saying. Where does this graph cover from left to right, which is your domain, and what does it cover from bottom to the top? All right. Find the 0. Can anybody tell me how do you find the 0? What is the 0 the same thing as that you learned in Math 100? We used another term in Math 100. Might have to go back to the notes. Finding the 0 is the same thing as finding the what? Okay. Go ahead and
You said
guess.
why?
Finding the X.
X-intercept. Write that
Oh,
down. Finding the 0 is the same thing as finding the x-intercept. So x-intercepts are the points that cross the x-axis. Which point is crossing the x-axis? What's the only point that's crossing the x-axis? This one.
there.
Or touching the x-axis. That's the only point that's touching the x-axis. 3-0. So your 0 is when your y is 0. The only time your y is 0 is when x is 3. All right. I'm just saying it in another way. All right. 3-0. Now notice they already put parentheses. They kind of help you out. So they may mark it wrong if you put another parenthesis. So be careful with that. All right. Increasing intervals. All right. If we start from left to right and I trace it, I am going from here. What is this x value?
Negative
Negative 4.
4.
-4.
Yep. I'm increasing all the way to this. What is this x value?
0.
0. So from
0.
-4 to 0, I am increasing. With increasing, decreasing constant, I always look at the x values and I always put a parenthesis no matter what. Now what happens here from 0 to, what is this x value?
3.
3. What happened?
It
Not
decreased.
increasing, I'm decreasing from the interval between 0 and 3. And then I started back increasing from 3. If we drew a line right here, it really corresponds, y'all see it, to 5. right here on the x-axis, 5. So from 3 to 5, you're also increasing. All right. Relative minimum. Minimum is your lowest point. We already went over this. What's the lowest point? 3, 0. What's your highest point? They call it relative maximum. What is your maximum point? 0, 9. 0, 9 is your highest point. So again, for minimum, put lowest point. Maximum, put highest point. Is F even, odd, or neither? Well, it's not symmetric to the y-axis, so it can't be even. It's not symmetric to the y and the x, so it's not odd. So it gotta be neither. So recall that we went over graphs and talked about symmetry and how it looks if it was an even function or an odd function. If it doesn't meet either of those conditions, it's neither.